Hello and welcome to the Keto Man's Club podcast.
We're glad you're here, where each week we talk about men's health and lifestyle.
We do so with the foundation of the ketogenic diet and lifestyle.
If you don't know what keto is, stick around and you'll find out.
The podcast will bring you real, honest fun.
Each week we strive to uncover the tips and tricks that you can use in your everyday life to maximize your overall health.
Find the clearest path to becoming the best version of yourself that you were meant to be.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Keto Man's Club podcast. My name is Chris, and as always, I'm joined by Jim Alberto, at least as long as Jim has power on his phone or cellular service, because that could go too. How's it going, Jim?
I did pay my electric bill, so it's not like I'm dodging, nothing like utility company or anything. No, I am in southern Indiana, and we are notorious for having like snow on Monday, tropical breezes on Tuesday, tornadoes on Wednesday. Guess what today is? It's Wednesday. So we've got this crazy storm that came through, and about 5-10 minutes ago, the power went out. Before we started the show tonight, I was telling the guys that I've lit my grandmother's old kerosene lamp. It's kind of like Ma and Pa Ingalls have gone to the Olson's Mercantile. It's 1863. It's 7 o'clock at night. It's dark out, so let's go to bed. That's where I'm at the moment. It's a pleasure. How are you all?
Pretty good. Berto, what's new?
All kinds of stuff. How much time do I got? Or do you want me to just start talking? You guys
just start talking. We'll just tell you to shut up when it's time.
All right. So I've talked about
okay, that's enough.
Podcast. All right. I'll see you guys later. It's bedtime anyway.
Okay.
Sorry, you opened the door. I had to take it.
No, I expect it. I purposely put it out in the group for people to make fun of me as best they can. So, I mean, you're no exception. But yeah, I talked about before how I was like having kind of like weird gut issues that were enough to catch my attention, but not enough to make me worry about. And I think I dialed it all back to when I stopped my bulk and therefore literally overnight cut down my fat intake. And apparently my belly did not like that. Because, I did then I went carnivore and kind of did an elimination diet, and that straightened out a bunch of the issues, but it still wasn't 100%. And then, with this whole corona apocalypse and me having a tendency to stress starve, I was kind of like, worried. Well, I shouldn't say I was worried. I definitely was not eating enough. And so I kind of started going back to very calorie dense stuff and, revisited my super duper ridiculous bulletproof coffee just to get more calories in, start drinking them again. And lo and behold, a week later, everything turned around for me. So, yeah, I'm a butter chugger, and that's not going to change, and I don't care.
Hey, if it works, it works. There's nothing wrong with that. Although there might be people that would question you on that. It's working for you, and if it calms whatever the gut issue was, then that's all that matters. It's funny, and most of the time it's usually when people are adapting, but they freak out whenever their gut starts adjusting to the higher fat. But yours has been doing it for long enough that I'm sure it's like, hey, this was home. Why'd you take me away from home?
Yeah. So I mean, between that, no longer going to the gym, which is obviously kind of through my whole, I had my macros and calories and maintenance dialed in, but now that's kind of out the window since the gym isn't there.
Yeah.
And so I tweaked my macros again, just dropped them down to 3,000, dropped them down to 3,000. And like, I'm leaning out on 3,000 calories. And like, I don't even bother stepping on the scale. I think I'm still in the 178, 180 range, but under the circumstances, it's not important. There's greater things to worry about than my vanity and me maintaining at 180 pounds. Now it just seems extremely superficial.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm kind of scaling back off the carnivore, phasing back into keto, and took on, and I'll just throw my shout out in while we're at it. My shout out is to Zach Williams, because he introduced me to, we're all familiar with Athlean-X. That guy does a fantastic job of everything he does. And, Zach was talking about his Zero program, where it's just 100% body weight. And, I've done a ton of body weight stuff, but after about a week, it's like, okay, squats, push-ups, this, that. And, there's no real direction. I had no structure to it, and I was just getting really bored. So I bought my second ever training program, being Athlean-X Zero. And I think I just finished, because I didn't start like on Sunday. So, I just finished week 1 this morning. And so now I am taking the hypertrophy and bodybuilding principles from the Keto Muscle Intelligence program and adapting those to strictly body weight exercises. And so far, I'm not disappointed. I mean, it's working quite well. And then since everything's out the window and I'm kind of phasing back into keto and out of carnivore, like why not just throw something else in there to keep me focused? So I went back to the Keto Savage macros, punched in what would be my numbers according to his calculator at maintenance. We're going to see how this works. So my macros as of yesterday are now 2,865 calories, which should theoretically be a really small deficit. 240 grams of fat, 145 grams of protein, and 36 grams of carbs, which I'll probably never hit. But so now this time around, I'm actually going to take measurements. I'm going to measure my chest, my arms, my legs, my calves, my neck, my waist. And with these macros and strictly a body weight program, I'm going to take measurements probably tonight or first thing in the morning. And then after this program, I think it's like 40 days, I'll just ride it out, whether the gym opens or not. I'll just ride it out. And I'm going to take measurements and weight and everything again. And I'm really curious as to what the body composition and measurement changes will be, whether positive or negative. If they end up going negative, whatever, we can always fix that. Yeah. But I'm curious as what the outcome of all this is going to be. So I figured, you know what, let's throw all these new things in there. You know, give me something to focus on, give me something to distract, and see what the outcome is. It should be extremely interesting because even outside of our group, because our group, everybody knows me by now, but outside of our group, I threw these numbers out there and, you know, the usual shock and awe, and it's not going to work. And so I just kind of went back to, well, it's just calories, right? It's just calories. If I'm eating at a deficit, regardless of where the fat is, it's just calories. Yeah. And apparently that argument doesn't work quite as well when it's not going in their favor.
Yeah. A calorie is a calorie, right? But it's not. It's really not. Zach he threw out the gauntlet. I think he was the one that started it. And you guys were doing some handstands against the wall, trying to get on your shirt. Of course, Berto, you did it your style and just put on your bandana. That was awesome. But yeah, that's a cool little challenge that we've seen a few other people, kind of get into. It's really seeing throughout this time, not to dive too deep into the situation that we're all in, because I'm sure that our podcast listeners, hopefully by the time this airs, will be at least somewhat out of quarantine and back to daily life. So we won't belabor it, hopefully. But seeing the camaraderie, the coming around each other, and just the general tightness. I don't even know how to say it. The tightness in the group it has just improved, I think, during this time, because we've just kind of dug deeper into those relationships and everything. So it's been great. Let's do the other shout outs real quick. Jim, who do you have for this week?
So my shout out this week is to Jackson Stradley, who is from guess where? Texas. So, I mean, we might as well just have the Texas chapter of the Keto Men's Club and then everybody else kind of thing. But that's for another day. So, but no, Jackson did kind of a before and current, and I don't say after because he's still in process. But he has 75 pounds gone, 25% or 25 pounds of muscle gained, and total different body composition. Looks great. So, congratulations to him.
Absolutely. And I am going to shout out my friend Dan. He joined the group. He kind of found us randomly, which is whenever I saw his name pop up on the hey, someone has signed in, I'm like, is that the same Dan that I know? And it ended up that he was, and he was just kind of doing some searches and found our group, and I have a feeling the algorithm helped him find us because we had connections, but even that, this was a new profile for him, so it didn't know our connections the same way, but we have lots of mutual friends. So weird things that Facebook does. But welcome to the group, Dan. He posted a video the other day of him getting back into some deadlifts. He showed off his form and asked for some feedback, and looks like he got a little bit of engagement, but it's he's diving back in and getting everything dialed in for diet again, and he's looking good and doing well. So glad to have him with us in the Keto Man's Club. Well, that's enough of the business. We've got a great guest on the line. We want to give him as much time as we possibly can. This week we are joined by Brett Stapley. Welcome to the show.
Happy to be here, guys. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Surprised to be here too.
Well, we are glad that you're here. You've been on our list of desirables for a while. I know that, again, it's surprising, but you have been. So we're glad that you are here. So give us a quick rundown about who you are, where you live, and all that type of stuff, and maybe give us a little bit of the background of where you started on your health journey.
Well, I'm from Phoenix, Arizona. We've lived here since 2017. The end of 2017 is when I moved here. Moved here about 330 pounds. And truthfully, I'll never know how much I weighed during that time, because I stayed away from scales like it was, it was going to kill me if I saw. So, but anyway, we moved here for a job. I work in IT and systems engineer, so not much physical activity. And when we moved, and before I moved, I was playing with this whole idea of, ketogenic dieting, only because, for long story short, is I had night sweats, like horrible night sweats. And it was to the point where my wife wouldn't sleep in the same bed with me, because we'd wake up and we were just covered in the sweat of 1,000 beasts.
Wow, you really turned that into a positive there.
Yeah. So what I did is you get on Google and you're like, I'm tired of this, and I'd really like to sleep next to my wife. And we were in Oklahoma at the time, but I remember reading all sorts of reasons that this could be happening, and one of the reasons was a rapid increase or an increase in blood sugar due to an insulin response. And I knew enough about biology to know. I said, I know how to combat that. And so the next day I did 0 carbs, and I felt hungry all day. I ate so much food that I felt sick. But the thing was that I felt young, and like I felt good even though I was really full, because when you don't have sugar and your insulin is high, you have uncontrollable hunger without that sugar. At least I did. So yeah, that was the start of the first day, and then I played with it and tried going 0 carb several times. And when we moved here, 2017, the end, December 31, I just said, all right, I feel horrible. There was all sorts of other health things I had going on too. And I said, I'm not going to eat sugar anymore. And it kind of evolved into that. And you don't, you don't want to say at first, you're like, I'm not ketoing, or I'm not that keto guy. But eventually you kind of have to come to terms with the fact that you're that guy.
Yeah. And now look at you.
Yeah. So, and now I'm a zealot, and I feel like I talk way too much about it, and I try not to talk about it at work. But people ask questions, and I try not to scare them away, and hopefully help people. But that's kind of my whole MO. Is I really feel like cheated by the entire world, because everything that I was ever told about health turned out to be destroying me. And and especially working in IT, I feel like I'm talking way too much here. I don't get to talk about this at home though, so
hey, this is the Brett show, man. You
exactly
lay it all on us, man. It's all good.
But so thanks. So but yeah, when you're getting older, I'm in my mid 30s in 2017, and I'm thinking, this is just what it's. We're just getting older. This is who we are now. We're always going to be tired, and we're always going to feel crappy, and we're always going to just feel horrible. And it wasn't until I did that one day, for not the reason of getting healthy, just to not sweat at night, I was like, oh, I feel way better. Let's try this and experiment with this further. And People don't believe me when I say that, but that was truly. And my wife's in the room playing a video game, ignoring me right now, and she can attest to that's how I started.
I'm not
ignoring you. Well, we may need to get her on the line, Brett.
Yeah. Yeah, they want to talk to you. So anyway, sorry, we're just keeping it real, I guess. Yeah. So anyway, where was I? So that's kind of my story, is how I got started.
Okay. So with the sweats and everything, I'm just curious, did you have a lot of were you thirsty all the time? Because I mean, if you're putting out that much water, you've got to be down and stuff all the time too.
Oh yeah. I'm waking up in the middle of the night 3-4 times a night, and just like I would get in that fridge and I would drink a Mountain Dew. Oh, Mandy's yelling at me. She wants me to, I was really big into bread. And I would eat bread at night, and I was making my own bread, and I was drinking Mountain Dew in the middle of the night and just going right back to sleep. I mean, who does that? That's not healthy. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And it wasn't until, you start to worry about, oh, well, if insulin's doing this to me, then what's causing insulin? It's sugar. And then, oh, how much does a Mountain Dew have as far as sugar? And that's
all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where it came from. That's where we started.
Okay, very good. And you've got some before and after pictures, and I swear, like I look at some of these pictures of your headshot, and I'm going, oh, that image has to be like stretched sideways a little, like skewed a little, and it's not, right?
No, no. And I love those pictures, and like I hate them, but I love them too, because I got so lucky, because back to when we moved here in Arizona, I didn't have a job for about 3 months before that, and I was taking those headshots to, update my LinkedIn profile. Mm-hmm. And so I'm so glad that I had those, because finding pictures of me during that dark time is proved to be super difficult. So I find myself looking through the old iCloud archives, trying to find myself and trying to find photos just to prove to people. And just today I posted that picture.
Yeah.
And in one of the groups that it landed in, people are just all over the place saying, oh, this is fake. The things people do for attention. And I'm like, yeah, I like attention, but it's real, I assure you.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So Brett, I'm just curious, were you a big kid growing up at all? Was your family, did they have weight issues or insulin issues or anything like that?
Well, my mom's a type 1. I was husky. I that's what my parents called me. Husky. And in high school I lost a bunch of weight due to having a girlfriend and wanting to lose weight, but I did that in a not healthy way. But I got down to about 155 in high school, 150, and now I wear smaller pants than I did then, and I weigh more than that. So
wow.
So, but yeah, all through high school, I'm 200, 190 ish.
And how tall are you?
5'10".
Okay.
On a good day, probably 5'9.5". Really.
Do we need to ask Mandy what your real height is?
I just tell her I'm 5'10". She'll say the same thing. She doesn't know. She doesn't have a tape measure on
her. So, as you kind of tapered in, and before you became the keto zealot, what would you say was the biggest shock? Not like once you first started and you realized, holy cow, I feel better, but once you were a few months in and you kind of had a moment to stop and reflect. Everybody always seems to have this like aha moment. Did you happen to have one of those?
Of like, oh, this works and it's not just for weight loss? Like, yeah. I remember. In fact, I think I posted this. I posted this somewhere. I remember about 4 months in, that was like the first time I took a selfie. I was trying to start to think, I need to document this because I feel amazing. And like, if I continue down this road, I'm going to need to share it with people. And I remember taking a picture. I sent it to Mandy, my wife, because I just felt so incredible. Like I felt good, and I felt like I've lost a lot of weight and I feel really good, and I need to send this to Mandy. So it was the first time. It was 4 months, and I think I'd lost probably 45 pounds in about 4 months. And it's just like, I had this thought, it's like there's a there's a million reasons to do keto, but I mean, it turns out that weight loss is just a peripheral side effect of a much larger spectrum of change that I've experienced. Like, it's improved relationships, my marriage, and when I say it's improved my marriage, I mean, like, we've become best friends now, and not only because I've changed as a person, but because we've become a team, and we're trying to teach our kids that. But like, I think there's something about keto that just, especially for men, just changes you. It changes the person that you are and makes you more empathetic, or more responsible, even. Like, adulting like is easier, just being a good human being. And I don't know how to explain it, and I've tried desperately to explain it in, various posts in Instagram and Facebook and groups on Facebook, and tried to talk to it about my wife, but like, I don't know how to explain, but it just improves so many things, cognition, and the life that you want is different, because it's like your head clears up and you have this need to do things like spend time with your kids, just because you love your family now. And not to say I didn't love them before, but it's incredible what it does.
Oh,
What
absolutely.
keto does.
There's a ton of power in your personal transformation. I mean, that can't be understated. Like it especially, almost everyone starts off with a struggle in weight. They're usually heavier than they want to be, regardless of how heavy they get. And mostly everyone that's coming down this journey has tried a bunch of stuff, both successfully, temporarily, and unsuccessfully, to try to get that in check. And so when you finally find something that works and is sustainable, and the effort isn't what it was in previous attempts, and so like you master the thing that you've been fighting for so long, it gives you a huge sense of confidence and a huge sense of accomplishment. There's a lot of power in that.
Amen. Yeah, for real. And yeah, I mean, and then there's the whole aspect of, there was a meme about it. You go to the doctor, and I'm so used to that was another really surprising thing, is I had blood pressure so high that every time I'd go to the doctor, I'd just be ready, because the nurse would take my blood pressure, and she wouldn't say anything, and she'd look kind of startled, and it has happened every time for the past 15 years. She'd take my blood pressure and be like, "Oh, hold on, that can't be right. I'm going to take it again." And she takes it again, and then again, and they look at me like I'm a corpse walking, and I'm so used to that. And that's been another really huge, like, surprise, is like, look, we're eating all this salt. We're eating so much salt. We're eating so much fat. We're eating all these things. And what happened to my blood pressure? My blood pressure is like normal, below normal. My resting heart rate is 50s and 60s. My eczema that I have, that I usually struggle with on my feet and my hands, it's more like contact dermatitis. That just decided not to be a problem for me anymore. Attention deficit disorder. I used to take Adderall when I was young, and that led to, some substance abuse that I dealt with through my 20s, and that, I wouldn't take Adderall to save my life because of the cognitive effects that has, and it would hurt my keto buzz. I mean, there's all sorts of things. I've given up nicotine. There's too many things that keto has helped for me to ever be able to give it up, and I don't know how to even express all of it. Like, that's why there's too much. And then, I want to help people, and I moved. I kind of moved into a new space on Facebook because I was overwhelming people, and all my family was like, stop posting about keto. We hate you because we don't want to do that. Oh, basically. Yeah. So yeah, I've done enough talking. Sorry, guys.
It's fine. No, this really is. This is all about you. So I do want to dig into like your physical activity before versus now. What do you find? What were you doing before, if anything? What are you doing now? What do you enjoy?
So I'm gonna say something controversial. This is where me and Alberto aren't gonna be friends anymore, because because I'm of the opinion that, well, it's not a hard opinion, but like I think in order to get going on keto, and to answer your question more directly, is I never would work out, and I had given up on myself as far as like, I'm in IT, I'm a fat guy, that's who I am now, and I accept that. But as you start doing keto, you all of a sudden have all this extra energy, and the activity just kind of comes out of this weird innate need to expend this newly unlocked energy that you've uncovered. And I would find myself being like, hey Mandy, let's go on a walk, or we should go out, like go to the zoo or go hiking today, like, and eye rolls, and I'd wake her up at 6 o'clock in the morning on a weekend, she says. I don't remember that. But yeah, like the activity comes because of the unlocked energy. And that's probably because, I was highly, highly insulin resistant. And the change in, energy modality was real. So like I felt so much more energy influx into my body.
Absolutely. So what are you doing now?
So, well, right now I'm stuck at home.
True.
No, I don't really have anything. All I do is, I have a pull-up bar. I go to the gym with my wife, but that's really, it's not much. We have a treadmill now, so that could be start happening. But I'm not against working out, but like really it's walking, it's staying active. My daughter, since I've been home working from home, she gets really irritated with me because I keep standing up in the middle of the day or like all the time, and she doesn't understand it. Like, I don't know. I just have way more energy, and I would like to expend that in a way that is lifting heavy. I would, but it just kind of hasn't evolved that way yet.
Yeah. It almost always, at least for a time, ends up, there. That was how it was for me. I was like, I have to live heavy. I have to lift heavy stuff. I really do. Like there's something in me that's screaming to do so. And actually I miss it now. I just quite literally do not have the time in the day with everything that I have going on to get into the gym. I'm doing really good making it a Kung Fu twice a week, and then doing a little bit of Kung Fu practice for 15 or 20 minutes every couple of days.
Yeah. Yeah. But like, so, I think where I just want to, when people ask me how to get started and like, is it important to work out? What I would usually say is it's more important to throw the sugar away than it is to just immediately start.
I 100% agree.
Yep. Because the increase in activity will just naturally start, because there's something about being a human being that you crave that activity. Yeah. Especially when the energy's unlocked. So I say, get rid of the sugar, get yourself fat adapted. Don't worry about calories. And that's another thing that can we talk about calories? Do they matter? Alberta, we need to talk about this, because I know that I can't figure out how to prove that they don't matter for me, because so I lost all the weight in about a year, about 165 pounds gone. And then you get to that point where you're like, being less heavy is no longer like exhibiting health. It doesn't reflect that I'm getting healthier by losing more weight. And it kind of becomes this game with the scale. So I threw the scale away, because I was like, no, I'm not going to get sucked into this game, and we're not going to play the shift a little bit to get lower number on the scale, because I was like, no, we need to be healthy. We don't need to be skinny. So threw the scale away for a year, didn't track anything, and ate ridiculous amounts of food. And I didn't gain a pound. And I don't know how to express that. No one believes you when you say, I don't track anything. Like, Alberta, I know you track incessantly, and like I admire that. Like, I want to have the need to track in some ways, because I think that would help me in my journey to bulk up a little bit. But like at some level, I fight with myself and I say no, because if I have to track my macros and I have to worry about this all day long, then it renders the whole, it turns into a diet. And I don't want to have a diet. I've figured out how to survive, and I want to live this way forever. But, at the same time, I want to bulk up. And I think that's going to start to require macro counting and,
yeah. No, I mean, there's a couple thoughts on this. Like, and I, when people say do calories matter, the way I always interpreted it, which is apparently wrong, and I'm wrong about a lot of things, but the way I always interpreted that was, okay, if you're eating what you want as much as you want and you're reaching your health goals, do calories matter? And in that context, no, they don't, because everything else you're trying to do is working. And I only started tracking when I actually put like a body composition goal behind it. And I'll agree with you 100%. It sucks. Like to get like when I tracked for my last cut, which was all last summer, leading into the summer. Then I just took like a month off of tracking. And then when I decided to do my bulk, I had to start tracking again. Like I didn't want to do it. I had to convince myself to start tracking again because I'm like, oh, it's tedious, it's a pain, and it's one of those things. Like once you get into it and you kind of just make it a little bit of a habit, it becomes so much easier than if you don't track. You find yourself tracking in your head, even if you're not doing it on your phone or on your app. You find yourself saying, that looks like about 30 grams of pecans. That'll be about this much. It'll be about that much. Like on Sundays, I don't track at all. I just eat. But in my head, like I know, like okay, well this meal is about 460 calories, and this hamburger patty's got about this and that in it. And I don't tally it up into the day, and I don't pay attention to it that much. But once you kind of get in the hang of it, and I mean, if your diet is like mine, to where it's just really, really simple and pretty much the same things over and over and over again. Like it's once you get a kind of a rough idea, it's really not that bad.
Right. No, it's okay. But I mean, you're eating upwards of, you're north of 3,000 calories daily, I imagine, right?
Yeah. Up until recently, just because I want to see what this 2865 does. But I mean, let's face it, calories are a grand estimation. So this 2865 might be over 3,000, might be under 2,800. Like, who really knows? But like when I was still going to the gym, I was maintain. This is how much I had it dialed in. That if I was eating carnivore, I would maintain my weight at 3,400 calories. If I was eating keto, I could maintain my weight at 3,200 calories. But if I went to 34 on keto, I would start to gain a little bit of weight. And if I went down to 32 on carnivore, I would start to lose a little weight. And I had it figured out. But that was also doing the exact same workout week after week after week, which currently doesn't exist. So that's why this kind of new experiment took off. And at this, I'll be at 2865, so just under 3,000. And it should be, if I were lifting regularly with this number, this would be a pretty decent deficit. But doing just pretty much all body weight and calisthenics, which is challenging, don't get me wrong, but it's just so out of my wheelhouse that I don't know what to expect. So that's why let's start here. Let's kind of just see what happens. But yeah, I'm right around the 3,000 calorie mark, and don't get me wrong, like, especially in just other random fitness groups, and when macros come up and I happen to throw a comment out there, people think I'm lying. They're like, there ain't no way. I've never met someone. I'm like, look, I just put it in the chronometer. The chronometer spits out a number. It says this is what I'm eating. Like, maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong. I don't know, but this is what it is. And to your point, people tell me I'm lying about this all the time.
Yeah.
Well, and I would say that just like I believe the body downregulates, because there's plenty of evidence for this, because there's so many people that live in these severe caloric deficits for years. You see all of these side effects, whether they realize it or not, of their bodies downregulating, shutting systems down, trying to make up for the lack of calories and the lack of intake of energy. It can only do so much with what you give it. And so when the local sources of energy are completely blocked away because of high insulin, and you're only taking in 1,200 calories a day, your body's like, well, what the frick? This I got the energy has to come from somewhere. We're just going to turn systems off now. And that's why people lose their hair and all of these different things that are, if you think of it mechanically, these are auxiliary systems. the Starship doesn't need these things. Those things are going to get shut down first.
Nice.
Things like that. So everything but life support. And so that I think that it goes both directions though. Your body, whenever you start giving it energy and when it actually has the ability to use it, it can upregulate. And that's why Berto can, eat 4,000 calories and, just barely start to lose or, gain some weight, and it's healthy weight, it's like muscle.
I mean, but what I would posit is that I have probably approached that same amount of calories without the working out. And I haven't, it's not every day. I'm not eating it consistently. And obviously since I don't track, but if I may be so bold, I've eaten like obscene amounts of food in like a couple weeks in a row, even like every single day, especially like this past holiday season. Didn't gain anything. And I don't know. I can't.
I really think it's the makeup of the calories that matters. That matters much more than the amount of calories. And honestly, without having read the book, but having understood the synopsis of what Gary Taubes says, good calorie, bad calories. That's his whole idea: is that calories matter to a degree. What the calories are made of matters even more, and so that's my understanding. That's my mentality about it as well.
Yeah, and I think the context matters too. Like if someone, just different bodies react differently. But I know with my body, for instance, even like sucralose doesn't kick me out of ketosis like other people swear it does, and they haven't given me any proof. With I had a ketone meter I kept bringing to work, but no, nobody. I don't know. Sucralose sweeteners, yes, they're supposed to elicit an insulin response, and I haven't found that to be true with myself. And so that's another thing. Like I always warn people, it's not about my position is, artificial sweeteners. It may not be, is it keto or not keto kind of an issue, but it is it's not the best to consume, aspartame or sucralose.
Yeah.
And it's not about keto, but it is about your health, and that's what it's about. So, anywho.
Yes, sir. So what's next on the horizon for you? We're going to get you tracking so you can pin a number to these calories you're eating.
Of course.
I mean, you can brag about how much food you eat, but until you put a tangible number behind it, then you can really, really brag about how much food you're eating.
That's a really good point. That could provide me the very proof that I've desperately wanted to show people that, look, I can eat this way. And I don't know. But yeah, I think I do. I need to get involved more heavily and in a more structured manner with that, which has always been on the roadmap. I've never been against it, but I'd love to build a more sturdy frame, more akin to an Alberto frame. Alberto, you're about my height too. What are you, 5'10"-ish?
Yeah, 5'8".
5'8".
Yeah.
Okay, so you're short, and you.
Yeah, I'm tall for a Mexican, right?
Yeah. So wow. So you're what are you at now? Like 180, 190?
No, I'm hovering right around 180, between 178 and 180. Last time I weighed myself.
5'8", 180, all keto muscle. Like that's incredible.
And it's one of those weird things where it's when it's you, it's just you. But then, we'll talk to people, have people on the podcast, or just talk to people. They're like, oh, I'm 5'10", I weigh 140 pounds. And then in my head, I'm like, oh, man.
Eat something. Yeah. Please eat something. You need to eat something.
A sandwich. Just go ahead and eat the bread at that point.
I'm just kind of pausing for a second, and I'm wondering what Mandy's hearing on her end, because she's sitting there listening to her husband say 5'8", 180. Wow.
She's ignoring me again. She stopped listening. It's normal. I'm used to it.
It's fine. I'm just giving you a hard time. So here's my question for you, Brett. So being in IT, lots of computer time, obviously, which means probably a lot of seated time and everything. Were you an eater of habit? Meaning, did you have, the bag of chips there that you just casually reach into every 10 minutes kind of thing? And if so, okay, then since you were, how did you break the habit?
Well, just the beginning was the white knuckle. And like I say, like the most important thing is fat adaptation above all else. So get rid of that sugar. And way I broke the habit is having just huge amounts of pork rinds, which smell terrible at a computer desk while people walk by. Pork rinds and don't ever open sardines in an office workspace either.
Wow.
But
you were you the boss?
just kidding. No, I didn't do that.
People would be like, we're not friends with him anymore.
But yeah, mostly pork rinds, and I would just go through a jar of olives a day almost. It was crazy. So that's pretty much how I broke the habit. And
was it an easy process for you? I mean, you talk about the mental side of things, but in 10 days, did somebody bring in donuts on a Friday and you're like,
yeah. My early Instagram, if you go back far enough, that's my favorite thing to take pictures of, was donuts in the break room that I wasn't going to eat because it somehow gave me this feeling of participating in the donut consumption. But yeah, and like I'm weird because like I've been going through this with my 3 girls, like especially because I wasn't eating it, I was poisoning my girls way more than I should have because I would get them treats that I couldn't eat, and I'd need to watch them eat it, and that was another coping mechanism that I used, which I regret now because I wasn't being a good father.
So is your family doing keto now?
Me and Mandy are a team. We're a keto team, and I've actually gotten Amelia, my 13-year-old, to paleo for a few months, and then she quit because of a holiday came and she kind of fell off the wagon. But I figured paleo is just a gateway drug to keto. So I was trying to get her on that, and she did really good. And I teach them how to read nutritional labels and look out for all the different names of sugars, and they're going to know what to do when their bodies go against them whenever they become adults.
Yeah, it's one of those funny things about kids' bodies they can somehow put up with because they just haven't put up with it long enough. They haven't built up the insulin resistance, whatever the scenario is. And as we age, that changes. For sure. So let's, other than immediate family, has other family reacted positively? Has anybody other people signed on, or are they all just kind of, okay, Brett gonna, drive us crazy?
Well, I have an older sister and a younger brother. My older sister joined me a couple times and failed miserably. Love you, Larissa. My mom, actually, she's a type 1 diabetic. And my mom was in Germany for the past year or so. And she actually started while she was in Germany because she was having such a hard time with her blood sugars. And she'll listen to this and say, that's not why. Or I can hear her yelling at me for telling it wrong already. But yeah, type 1, and my dad did it with her to support her. And I mean, yeah, there's actually a lot of extended family. Devin, who's actually in TKMC Beginners, Devin Cathcart, shout out Devin. He did it, and he posted a transformation video, and he did it in like 2 months, and he was like, it was incredible. Like he lost a ton of weight. So he's my first cousin. And so, I mean, but yeah, I try and pull everyone in semi-passively, and sometimes I don't succeed at the passive part of that statement.
Yeah, don't feel too bad. We've all been not Bible thumpers, but keto thumpers, I think is probably the right term for it. I've had to watch my proselytization practices for sure. So let's go ahead. We want to be respectful of your time, which not as late there. Now, you did mention the eczema. We had just aired the episode with Itchy Dan. You've seen that pretty much clear up. Were you on meds for all of that?
So about every year, I would have to do a round of prednisone to get rid of it because nothing else would fix it. Like, yeah. So that isn't a thing anymore. It's basically it.
Prednisone is freaking horrible.
Yeah,
it's like it's got to be one of the most prescribed drugs out there for. I was on prednisone forever, and the side effects of prednisone it should be illegal. The side effects by themselves.
Yeah,
it's insane.
So I'm going to disagree because I was on prednisone for poison ivy like 10 years ago. It did nothing for me other than cure my poison ivy. I mean, I had so many people that tell me that, the food, eating food and up all night and blah, 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 like it did nothing to me. It was so weird.
Well, lucky you.
Well, I'm not trying to brag. I'm just like, I've always wondered why I didn't have that reaction that so many other people had. So.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because I had insatiable appetite, night sweats, major weight gain. Your face will blow up. That's one of the side effects of it. Like it's referred to as moon face. Your face just gains weight. The rest of you will catch up eventually, but your face just gets huge. It's hard to explain, but once you see it, you're like, oh yeah, that's definitely that is.
Yeah, very cool. Well, let's go ahead and start wrapping up. Like I mentioned, I want to be respectful of your time as best we can, get you back to your family. I know you're time zone behind any of us. So it's not quite as late there. Any other final questions, Jim or Alberto?
No, I think we covered quite a bit. Jim, you got anything?
I do. So what was the hardest thing for you to replace food-wise in this transition, and what did you replace it with?
So bread, obviously, but we started replacing it with mug cakes, but eventually
with what?
Mug cakes. So like you can do this 2-minute bread in the microwave. You just take some almond flour, some baking powder, and
there's a difference.
Salt.
I learned that the hard way.
Yeah. So you put an egg and put a half stick of butter in there, and just mix it together, and it goes in the microwave for 30 seconds, a minute, however long it takes to kind of tack up, and you've got what appears to be kind of sort of bread, but eventually you get to the point where you kind of have to just appreciate foods for their own merit and not try and replace it. That's kind of where I've arrived, is like, I love Brussels sprouts now. Like that's replaced, all sorts of things like bread. Who would have thought that somebody could like Brussels sprouts? I love,
Brussels sprouts are amazing.
Yeah. Them and
especially
asparagus.
when you grill them. Yeah.
That and asparagus. And I'm going, okay, who am I? Like, seriously, I would never eat these things growing up, but they're great.
Yeah, and then you like appreciate mushrooms now, and like there's all sorts of things. But yeah, I guess the answer is I tried to replace everything that you can think of under the sun with something else, but eventually you actually find foods that are just good. Like eating steak is so good with mushrooms and whatever sauce, and that's way better than trying to make a bread,
a sandwich.
Yeah. It's way better. And like it's not even like the carbohydrates that you get in these fake breads, these imposters, it's not even worth it's not worth the carb count to even make it, let alone eat it. And so, yeah, I just kind of gave up on trying to replace stuff. And I don't know. I think there's value in trying to figure out all that, but eventually you just got to figure out a different way of living, right?
So what is your favorite food now, keto-wise, without saying steaks?
Egg roll in a bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Have we done
a popular
that?
answer.
Yeah. Mandy says enchilada casserole.
Do we need to put Mandy on speakerphone for a moment?
Put Mandy on speakerphone.
Yeah, I think Mandy.
I think we need to talk to Mandy.
All right, yeah. Mandy's coming. They want to talk to you. Come on over.
Okay, let's see.
They can't see me, right?
We can, actually. We've been watching the whole time tonight, Mandy.
Here, you put these on.
This is actually an intervention call for you.
Say hello. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good since the camera's not on. So
yes. No cameras. So you have the privilege of being the second female on our podcast.
I'm honored. Thank you.
And the first is a dudette, so it's kind of one of those things. She's part of the two keto dudes. So
okay.
Yeah. So anyway, that being said, welcome. We've heard you in the background, and I was like, but I'm loving it actually. So
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no, it's great. So tell us a little bit about how this journey's been from your perspective, because really we've not heard the other side of this before.
The female struggles of keto. It's so when Brett started keto, I was like, yeah, I'm not giving up my carbs. You're kind of crazy, never gonna work, never gonna last. And about 6 weeks in, he had lost enough weight to where I was like, I can give up carbs. You can't be the skinny one in this relationship. He couldn't be the more attractive spouse. I had to jump in there. I've had 3 kids, didn't lose the weight, wasn't happy with myself. So I jumped in, and I've lost a total of 50 pounds.
Oh, wow.
But it took an entire year just to lose the 50, and I'm still like trying to lose a good 15 more. I've got a number that I want to be, and it's
you look incredible.
Well, thanks, babe. But I want to be that number. That was a good number for me. I like that number.
Well, and that's awesome. And you're not alone. I've got that extra 15 to 20 that I would like to get to. And, so you're by no means alone with all that.
When you're married to Brett and he was as large as he was, I swear you would blink and he was 15 pounds lighter. I'm just like, how are you losing so much weight so fast? And I'm like, 2 whole pounds this week. And he's like, I've lost 15. And I'm just like, this is not fair.
Yeah.
This is not cool.
My wife had the same struggles. So
it must be a girl. And then we fluctuate worse than men too. So like I'll lose 2 and then towards a certain part of the month, I've gained 5. And I'm just like, it is not fair. But I am happy that I've lost the 50 and I do have more energy. And I do feel better overall, so I'm very happy that he introduced keto. I think it's transformed him a little more, in like personality-wise. He has just done it a 180 from the Brett that I knew to the Brett that he is now. I feel like I'm still the cranky, moody self that I've always been, just 50 pounds lighter. Whereas he's just, I don't know, he's a dream come true. So I'm not even kidding. It's true.
That's awesome.
That's amazing. That's great to hear. It's great to hear you guys are a team. My wife is she's low carb. She's slowly making her way to keto. It's doing well by her, but yeah, the female side of things, it's a whole different set of struggles and challenges, and like you were saying, times of the month that changes things.
Oh yeah.
Just the weighing yourself factor. The variation, until I had to see it with my own eyes, it kind of blew me away, because it was just like, wow, like it's all over the place. Like you were saying, it's a few pounds down, a few pounds up. You go down 5, you'll go up 2, and you'll go down 4, and you'll go up 3. And,
it's frustrating.
We're trying, we're doing the trends over time, which is what you have to do. And men have the benefit of testosterone, which obviously makes probably all the difference. But hey, 50 pounds is 50 pounds. That's awesome. I'm very, very happy for you.
Oh, me too. And thank you. I mean, like if I were stuck with where I am now, I would still totally do it again, because I am much happier overall. But I would just tell the ladies it's worth it. Just continue doing it, because I do feel better. And there's the whole mindset, like I thought I was a certain size jeans for the longest time. And my daughter's like, try these on. I'm like, they're never going to fit. And then I tried them on and they fit, and I still don't understand it. But you just have to, like, I don't know, try sometimes, I guess.
And you started and you did it the first time.
That is true. My husband did point out, which I would like to point out, he started keto and failed 2 times or so. And then when I started keto, he's like, don't feel bad about yourself when you fail, because it's going to happen. And I was like, challenge accepted. So I quit cold turkey, and I did not fail. My first bite of sugar was an intentional bite 9 months into it, because I'm like, I've lost this much. We're camping. I will eat 1 piece of cake. And I didn't fall off the wagon after that 1 piece of cake. And I was like, it wasn't really that worth it. It was okay, but I like my Quest bars just as much as I like that piece of cake that I had. So,
Mandy, what do you do for a living?
Well, I'm a stay-at-home mom for the most part. I did just get a part-time job in retail in September. So, but I do the mom thing. Got 3 kids, 13, 7, and 4. So, all girls. Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That'll keep you busy. That'll keep
They
you busy
do.
by itself, for sure.
They really do. The laundry alone.
So if as the wife, because it is the Keto Man's Club, no offense to the ladies or anything, but what would be a thing that you would tell other women, other wives, in supporting their husbands through keto? When Brett would hit a struggle or get down or whatever, what were you able to do to kick him back into gear?
I think one of the most fun things were just to look at new recipes and cook together because we were both ketoing. So it was really nice to spend that time in the kitchen to just kind of tweak things or try new things so that we can have fun together in our journey and just stay away from the sugar, which wasn't really a problem after a few months. Like those first couple months were brutal, but anytime he would get into a little rough patch or I would get to a rough patch, we would just start Googling, Pinteresting new recipes to try. So it wasn't boring or dull. It kept it interesting and exciting. It's like, ooh, let's see what this tastes like. Ooh, let's try pancakes. Ooh. Because at first we're like meat and cheese. That's all we get, meat and cheese. And then we started doing more research. So I really like cooking with him. And that's, I think, is what's kept it fun, is cooking dinner and getting excited over new things to try.
So who cooks the best recipe, you or him? Or is it all a tag team effort?
Depends on the recipe. He has done some really good, mug cakes. I can't get the good mug cakes down. He does really good mug cakes and some meat dishes. I'm probably better with the meat dishes, and he's better, surprisingly, with the sweet dishes. I don't understand it.
Well, I'm a fat guy.
You're a fat. Well, you're not a fat guy anymore.
So this is kind of a question that you can totally decide you don't want to go into. So if you want to pass, it's totally fine. But what, things between husband and wife, they, the intimate life, how's that been from you guys? Have you seen a change in that regard? Because obviously personality wise, you two seem much lighter, much more like a team. Have you seen a positive change in other areas as well?
There has been a positive change in all areas.
Okay. Love it. I love it. That works.
Yes. I have a problem with filters, so I'm trying really hard to be nice. Positive changes across the board is what I will say.
Okay. Very good. That's
a good politically correct answer.
Thank you. I really tried.
We do try to be family friendly, so that fits.
I figured as much. I'm filtering like crazy for you guys.
We will add the low baseline though underneath the conversation for the last 60 seconds.
Well, it's an important question though, isn't it? That is a very important part of your relationship, that part. Mm-hmm. So that's very important. I'm happy. So
yeah, very
well,
good.
Brett just got Husband of the Year in the Keto Man's Club because it's recorded. It's now forever etched in the world.
I won't take it back either. I'll say it again.
Nice. Well, that's so awesome. So awesome.
Oh, that's great.
Well, thank you for joining us, Mandy. I think we're going to try to wrap things up.
Okay. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
You bet.
That's enough of her.
Don't let her go.
Yes, you got a good one.
Yeah, I got the pick of the litter. That's for sure.
Let's get into contact information and wrap up for the night. Brett, how can people get a hold of you online? I know you've been building out some of your secondary contact ways.
Yeah, it's really just for me to have a sounding board. But yeah, keto.brett is my Instagram. And it really wears me out when people actually pay attention to it. And then Keto beats carb. Keto beats carb, which it's a long story as why that is a name, but it's confusing. But Keto beats carb is a Facebook page that I have that is my sounding board on Facebook. So it's just kind of where I keep all of my it's like a journal of keto, anything I find that I want to make sure and save forever.
Very cool. Well, and you're also in the group, so people can tag you there as well, which
Absolutely.
is always an option for us. And that's true for all of us here. Alberto?
We all know the group. And other than that, on Instagram, it's l.ketocholo.
And Jim?
Instagram at Jim Inman, JR.
And I am at Duckman Keto on Instagram. You can get a hold of our podcast on Instagram by going to at Keto Man's Club Podcast. And if you just want to get any and all of our links, including subscription links for the podcast and everything, just go to theketomansclub.com. It's a one-stop shop. It's just links to everything, so you can use that. Both the beginners and the main group are located there, and you've got the links to some of the companies that we support and that have supported us, like Liquid and whatnot. They've been great partners in general, and so we want to support them as best they can, because who can't beat quality liquid fuel? So that's, but not to point anyone out in particular. That was one that just came randomly off the top of my head. You can also reach out via voicemail, and you can do so by calling 512-518-6161. Leave us a voicemail, and whether that be questions, comments, ideas, feedback, we want to hear from you. So you can do that there. You can email us at ketomansclubpodcast@gmail.com. So we've got lots of different ways to connect with us, and we want to have you connect with us as much as you can. If you found this episode of value and think that maybe someone else in your world might find value in it, go ahead and share this podcast with them, whether it be this episode or any other episode that we've had. Share it and let other people know about us. Not really even just so we get all famous, because that's not really what it's about, but because the guys and now gals that we're talking to, they have a story that people need to hear, and we want to get that out there as much as possible. And one last call to action before I sign off. If you can take a few moments, leave a comment, a rating on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, leave a comment on our Facebook page for the podcast, because those things help the algorithm put us in front of more people. And for the very same reasons, we want to get out there so that we can share these amazing stories. That's it for this week. Signing off for all of us. Until next week, make sure to eat meat, lift heavy, sleep, and repeat. Thank you for joining us for the Keto Man's Club podcast. Your support means the world to us. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Would you help us spread the word about the Keto Man's Club by sharing with your friends and family? We're available on all podcast platforms, so just search for Keto Man's Club and you'll find us. If you would like to connect with us, you can do so a number of ways. Our web address leads to our Facebook group, theketomansclub.com. That's TheKetoMansClub.com. You can also follow us on Instagram at Keto Man's Club Podcast. Lastly, if you have any comments or questions, feel free to reach out via email to ketomansclubpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you again for joining us today, and we look forward to hanging out with you again next week.